Hey everybody, Megan here from Romance by the Book. We're here with our November Book of the Month author, Farrah Rochon. She wrote The Boyfriend Project, which is what we've been reading. And it's been really fun so far. We hope everybody's enjoying it. We're so glad to have you here, Farrah.
I'm
Thank you
happy
so
to be
much. So I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you is just as far as Samaya goes, what made you want to write a STEM heroine?
Well, I knew I wanted to write, can I curse, a badass?
Of course.
I wanted to, I knew I wanted to write a really badass heroine.
Okay.
And I picked STEM kind of because I worked in the field, not
Okay.
as I have no technology, not technological at all.
Okay.
But I worked as like an office manager for
Okay.
a company there, and I knew I wanted to set the book in Austin, which is a very, all of the tech companies are in
Right.
Austin. So it just kind of fit for
Okay.
her. And it all kind of came together at the same time, all those things
Right.
that I wanted to happen in the book. So yeah, I now
Awesome.
know way too much about it
Yeah.
because of all the research.
That's funny because that actually goes into one of the questions that Marielle had for you, which was what was the research like since you had such a varied career-minded cast in your book and so many different big jobs? Like, how did that go for you as far as research goes?
Yeah, lots. They always tell you to write what you know, but after about 2 or 3 books, it's kind of like you exhausted what you actually know.
Right.
So you have to go and find, interesting things. And I know people are reading the book, so maybe I can do kind of a spoiler
Oh
with
yeah, definitely. We've been doing like breakdowns pretty much every weekend, and the last one is coming. I guess it'll be this Saturday, and by the time this airs, it'll be on the day that you're taking over, so we'll be done.
Oh, so yeah, so everybody knows that Daniel has like this really cool job. He's
Yeah.
not just a software developer type guy. And I had to do a ton of research for both. With Daniel working for the government, I had never heard of that government program before. The Treasury Secretary, Treasury Department's
Right.
in-house
Mhm.
like detective.
Investigators.
Yeah. And I just thought it was so cool. So I
Mhm.
started researching it, and that's when I decided, okay, yeah, I have to use this in a book. So I've been holding that, in my back pocket, and this just happened to be the perfect place to use it. And yeah, when it comes to Samaya's job, the company that I worked for in Austin, they kind of it was kind of along the lines of what Trendsetters does.
Okay.
Trendsetters is not a real place. It is like the best place to work.
Of course.
I would love to work there, but and my company definitely was not like Trendsetters, but they were doing that same kind of thing, like the licensing deal. So I had just a little inkling of what that was, but I worked there 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And all of the stuff, the technology had changed so much. So
Right.
what I thought would be helpful was really, it just gave me a baseline, and I had to do so much more research on that, on how to create an app, on, 90% of the research I didn't get up, in the book.
Right. Of course.
So
It's
it was
funny
a lot.
'cause I'm sure there's the urge to just be like, this is all the things that I know, but you're like, wait, it doesn't fit.
I know, it is so, it's like, but this is so many months of research, but yeah.
It was perfect, and it really seemed like it was like just the right amount of detail for all of their, not just her real job, but also the app, and then of course
Yeah.
both of his jobs, and then London and Taylor too. So that was really fun.
Yeah, well, I have to say I have a really good editor, because I did try to put a lot more in there. She was like, no, we don't need this. So
Right.
it wasn't totally, it wasn't totally me. No, I had to be
Yeah,
told, no.
it's
So
good. Sometimes you need somebody to come behind and be like, maybe we don't need this part. That's
definitely.
so my question was, which came first for you, the characters or the whole viral breakup idea that kicked off the book?
It was the viral breakup
Okay.
thing, because I actually got that idea from Twitter, from
Okay.
watching like the live, I'm on Twitter way too much, and I've seen so many of the live tweet things. And this was one thing that was like on an airplane
Oh,
that I remember. It was like late at night, and
Oh,
It
I
was
think I remember
actually,
that one.
it was like these people
Yeah.
having like they met, and it was like a very cute, it was kind of like the meet cute on an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to write that one day, but it's the thing that gave me the idea to
Right.
do like a viral thing that starts on Twitter. So yeah, I got the idea from that, and then I thought, why don't I take those three women, and instead of turning on each other, they actually band together. So yeah, that's where it came.
Their friendship was so awesome. I loved that part of the story. That
Yeah.
really just made everything even better for me. So another thing I wanted to ask was about just your writing process as far as are you like a pantser? Are you a plotter? How does that usually go for you?
I am the most obsessive plotter you will probably meet in your life. I give workshops on it. That's how bad it is.
Okay,
I really
awesome.
am. Yeah, I'm like the Post-it notes everywhere. I basically plot out my entire book before I ever start writing it.
Okay.
And I kind of call it, it's almost like my first draft, because I know I have it all plotted out. And it's the part that I really like, because it's where I'm my most creative. And then when it's time to write, I call it the difference between the storyteller me and the writer me. My storyteller is coming out in that plotting part, because that's when I'm really getting all of that creative stuff going.
Right.
And then the writer, I'm making sure all the words are, good. So they work together, but they're very distinctive.
That's awesome. I also wanted to ask you, since I can see your covers in the background there, were you, I guess before you got your cover, I'm curious how you felt about the whole cartoon cover concept. Do you like it? Did you like it after you saw yours and you were like, holy crap, this is awesome? Or how did you feel about that?
I kind of knew that I was going to have a cartoon cover. The illustrated covers kind of started with the Kiss Quotient and Jasmine Guillory's The Wedding. It's like publishing has that thing where, okay, this is the trend now. So if you sell a book now, this is probably what it's going to be. So it was actually my first both illustrated cover and my first trade size paperback that I've ever had. So knowing that I would have it, I prepared myself, and to me, the ones that are out now are kind of a little more elevated and more sophisticated than some of the trends of cartoon covers that they've had in the past. That was okay. And mine went through a lot of iterations. And I was so lucky that they let me be a part of it. They sent me from initial sketches to just everything. And when I saw the final, it was just like, wow. The cover, because that blue, that turquoise.
Yeah, the color just pops right out. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last, I didn't see that until the very last. And I just remember staring at my phone when I opened the email. I just thought, holy crap, is that really my cover? And
that's
blown
so
away. I do. I love it. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so how do your characters come to you? Are they like fully formed when you first think of them, or do you like have their name and then you think about what job they might have and stuff like that? Like, how does that work for you?
It's different with different characters. I do a lot of character work. You're talking to a psych major here.
Right.
So, people, the way people think, their minds, all of that stuff that's the part that I really get into. So I initially, I'll start, names are very important, and it's always like, this person feels like a whatever, London felt like a London, just so regal, and it just fit.
Yeah.
So I'll have the names, I'll have the occupation and things like that, but then I really do a deep dive into personality. Because I want to make them as authentic as possible. So once I usually sit with a pen and paper and a cup of coffee and just give myself a few hours to just free write stuff about this character. And I do like interviews, character interviews with them, and just everything. It's those things I have to do at the house. It's like I can't go out to Starbucks or something like that.
Right, you have to be like fully into it.
Yeah, I have to be home and just immerse myself in it. And I love playing around with characters. Love it.
Awesome. That makes me think of Naima Simone always says that she has like half a notebook on every character, like, oh, like their birthday, when they
Oh
did
yeah.
whatever thing, the first bone they broke, like billions of things that don't even
Oh
make it
yeah.
into the book. And it's just like all there.
Truly, I have the, I have like the things like hair color and eye color. That's like important. But for me, it's those things because yeah, a kid that broke their arm, you know, as a 12-year-old, that has something to do with how they come up as a person. You know, it's like, you know what real pain is.
They might
So
not be such a risk taker anymore or whatever.
exactly. That's the type of really deep dive personality stuff, getting into their backstory because it develops the person. I love that stuff.
That's awesome. So we each have a question that we always ask every author. And so Marielle's question is, if we were a fly on the wall in your office while you're writing, what would we see? Do you always have snacks? Do you have like a certain setup on your desk? Like, what do we see?
You will see my aromatherapy diffuser.
Okay.
It's using some type of something for me to focus on. You'll definitely see a cup of coffee. Depending on where I am in the story, that coffee's probably refreshed like 4 or 5 times during the day. Let's see, I'm in my office, so I'm like looking, but no, I have my little things that I don't tell my mom, but I have these like crystals, these she calls them the woo-woo stuff. But I have like my crystal, the tiger eye, and just things that make me feel good and just can get in the I just
zone.
Get in my zone.
Yeah.
You actually won't see it because I write, it's very dark.
Okay.
I have light canceling the curtains, and
so basically just the light from your computer and that's it?
That's it. It
okay.
is. If you come in my office, it looks like it's midnight and it can be shining bright outside. I know
that's so interesting.
It's my writing cave. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, and my question that I always ask is, what is your favorite trope to read?
Oh, you're asking the trope, like, I mean,
pick one. You don't have to pick one. You can say a few if you want.
I was gonna say I can't. Okay, I love enemies to lovers.
Okay.
I love second chance romance. I love Secret Baby. I know there's so many people who don't. I love Secret Baby. Seriously. And I love like the scarred hero.
Yeah.
Give me a hero that, is really scarred. And yeah, I absolutely love it. There's so many tropes that I love. I could list so many, but enemies to lovers usually comes because
yeah, for me, I think my favorite is always like brother's best friend or best friend's brother.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, that one too.
I'm a sucker for that. I love it every time. Even it's funny too because typically I stay away from like the super angstful reads, and a lot of those are that way. So it's funny that that's my favorite one. But I'm able to do.
And I love, I especially love if like the best friend was such like a man whore in high school, and he's like, no, you're not gonna date my sister. What the heck is wrong with you? Oh my gosh, yeah, give me some Rex.
Yes,
because it's like I haven't read one in a while. I love it.
I like forced proximity and like marriage of convenience too, for sure.
See? Give me all the tropes. I truly.
I guess my other favorite is probably Sunshine and Grumpy. I love that one too. Always.
Yes.
So if you want to tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now.
Okay, so what I am working on and what is almost done, especially since it's due in like a few days, is the dating playbook. The dating playbook is Taylor's story.
Oh, yay!
Yes, and she is, well, you all know that she's trying her hardest to get her little Instagram fitness, she wants to be the Instagram fitness guru. Mm-hmm. She is a hot mess. So, she's down with her luck. She really is. She's tried. She hoped that the viral video would have helped, but it turned out that it did not. So in the dating playbook, what happens is that you find out that Taylor is in even more trouble than you first, thought from the boyfriend project, and she really needs some money quickly. She's, And she ends up getting contacted by this guy who is an ex-NFL star. He is for any of the Austin or Texas people. He's a Texas Longhorn living there. And he has decided he was hurt and had to leave the league, but he's decided that he wants to make a comeback. And he needs, a trainer who can really whip him into shape. So Taylor, of course, is ecstatic because she thinks, my gosh, I get to train an NFL, get him back in the NFL, right. And I can use this as an endorsement for my business.
Yeah.
Except he does not want anyone to know that he is trying to make this comeback just in case it doesn't happen. Right. So she's like, really? But this is actually another trope because it's actually a fake dating story. Yay! Because she blabbers something that she shouldn't, and they have to, in order to keep the ruse going, they have to pretend that they are dating instead of working together as fitness trainer. And
so fun.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I mean, I love Taylor as a character, but writing her book and just getting to know her more, and because she's young and she's fun and she's so sunny and always tries to look at the bright side. And it has just been a joy. It's been a joy to write her story. So yes, the dating playbook, it will be out next summer. And the cover for that one, I absolutely love it too.
Okay.
And we're going to have a cover reveal, I think in December.
Awesome. And so is that the next book that's out as well?
Yeah, that'll be the next one coming out. I'm going to because I do some indie stuff myself, and I actually have a series that I wrote for Harlequin that's been out of print, of course, and you couldn't get it anywhere. And I'm actually going to start republishing it. It's my Bayou Dreams series. It's
what is so funny? So we have an Amazon storefront, and we put all your backlist up there and everything. And so I did that, and then we also have one over on Bookshop. And they had, I guess, one of those books, like a hardcover copy. It was like $33 or something like that. And I was like, I don't recognize this one because I had just done the list on Amazon and I didn't see it. And I saw that. Oh, it must be out of print. That's so funny.
Yeah, they've been out of print. Yeah, I have the rights back, so I'm actually working right now to reissue. So that will happen early next year.
Okay.
Hopefully, if I could get myself,
yeah,
get it together. But so those books, the 6 books
awesome.
of my Bayou Dream series, are going to be reissued.
And so, do you when is this the first time you've had something like that happen where your rights revert back? And if not, if it's happened before, I'm curious. Do you just go back through and read those again and kind of familiarize yourself with everything again, especially if it's been a long time?
Well, this is actually. My football series, my New York Sabres series, were originally Harlequin books.
Right.
I just went through this not too long ago.
Oh, okay.
And I do go back and read. I try not to change too much because, for one thing, technology changes so much that if I had to go back and update for technology, in 2 years I'd have to do it again because we have more technology. And I also think it's not really fair to people who read it the first time, to change it. And, people think, well, do I buy it again to see what's changed? Right. So my personal, preference is just to keep them as, close to what they were before. Yeah. But I do have to reread them, unfortunately, because I hate reading my own work, but I do. I do read through them, once I formatted them, I read through them to make sure they're okay, and I put them up. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of rereading my own books at all.
Are you a rereader of other books? Do you reread old favorites, or you're just not a rereader at all?
Oh no, I have my comfort read shelf. That's what I call it, and it's all the books that I cut my teeth on, 20 years ago. And I read some of those, several times a year. Love it.
Awesome. Do you remember what your first romance book was that you read?
I don't. I used to read my aunt's Harlequins. I would sneak them every now and then. But the first one I read that really opened the door for me was Laverne Spencer's Separate Beds.
Okay.
Very old school.
Yeah.
Very old school. But I was like 13 years old. I remember my sister gave it to me. And then she also gave me several years later, because I read that, but then I started reading like more John Grisham and, you know, others. But then she gave me a book by Judith McNaught, and that was it. I was all romance all the time after that. And I'm like a McNaught super fan. I've got like 100 copies of her books, even though she only has like 15 total. I just have tons and tons of copies. It's ridiculous.
So Paradise was my first romance.
Oh my gosh, my gosh.
I love it. I still love it so much.
I truly, I can tell you when it comes to that book, I can like pick it up right now, open the book, and I will be at the scene in the boardroom when he asked her for that 11-week. Okay, that's how much I have reread that scene. It's my favorite book of all time.
So my best friend growing up used to read romance all the time. And my mom mostly read like thrillers, Stephen King, Dean Koontz, that kind of stuff. And so that's like what was on the shelves at my house. So that's what I sort of started reading when I was a teenager. And so we were down at the pool one day and I had forgotten my book, and she had that book. She was reading a book, and then she had just finished Paradise. So it was in her bag, and she's like, here. And I was like, okay. So I just like started reading, and I was obsessed. I went and bought like every single Judith McNaught book that I could get my hands on. I read all of them. Perfect is great too. Like,
yes. Oh gosh,
they're awesome.
That's basically my shelf. Yeah,
it's just so much fun. And so it's weird though, because it was summertime, and especially as a teenager, I'm like a one sitting reader. It's hard now because I have little kids, but like that's for me, it's like a movie. It's like, do I stop a movie midway through and come back to it 2 days later? No, you know what I mean? Like I can't. And so it's so hard for me. And so I would just have to make myself not read much during the school year, because I would do that instead of stuff I was supposed to do. So I just was mostly reading in the summers. And so then in college, when I was working in the summers and stuff, I just kind of lost track of it. And I didn't read much for pleasure for a while. And it really wasn't until Twilight came out, funny enough, that I like read that and just kind of remembered my love for like romance books and went back and started reading. Like I read a ton of backlist of like Lori Foster, and I reread all my McNaught books, and like Laura Lee's old like suspense series, and Maya Banks, and like all these other ones. And I'm like, it just like reignited my love for reading, and now I've just been like trucking ever since.
It's just life now. Yeah. Oh yeah, you've got, if I had my shelf here, you would see our comfort read shelf is probably the same thing. All those McNaughts, I take them and reread my favorite parts.
I love it.
Yeah. That's if I can't find something to read that I want to, you know, if I don't want to start a new
hardcover of Paradise at a used bookstore a couple years ago that was still in really great shape, and I was like, so I had to get that because I have all the paperbacks, you know, from they're all like, most of the paperbacks I have are like the newer, not the newest covers, but like not the oldest covers either. Like
and
the hardcover was like the original cover, I think. So that was pretty cool.
You don't want to know how much I paid for a hardcover of Once and Always. It's one of those things that I never on eBay.
Right? Oh gosh.
I've got everything in hardcover except for Tinder Triumph and Double Standards. When I tell you,
or
what's that?
Did those two come in hardcover, or you just?
They were like book club editions.
Oh,
so they were
okay.
extremely hard to find, and I've told myself that I don't care. I cannot get them because Once and Always was the
right.
But I'm obsessed. I've been obsessed for years, and that's just my thing.
That's so awesome. I really wish. I hate that she's not writing anymore. I love her stuff so much.
I know.
Oh, well, that was fun. Such a fun little aside trip.
Sorry, everyone else. Fangirling here. Sorry.
That's funny. Yeah. So I'm sure everybody, everybody who is on our page is obviously a romance fan. So I'm sure they will be enjoying that too.
Just remember they're dated, folks. They're going to read that and see some.
Right. Oh gosh. Yeah. They're very old school. Very, very.
80s and early 90s.
That's like, I listened to the Fated Mates episode where they talked about Once and Always. Is that the name of it? The first,
that's Jason
Westmoreland, like the Westmoreland book or whatever.
Oh, that's Whitney My Love.
Well, that one, it was the one, the prequel to that or whatever, the one that was like the historical, the
Oh,
novel or
that's a
whatever it
Kingdom
was.
of Dreams.
Oh,
That's
there
a
it is, A
Kingdom,
Kingdom of
that's
Dreams. Yes, thank you.
book.
Sorry. Yeah,
Woo,
so they did
yeah,
they did an episode about that on Fated Mates, and it's been a long time since I read that one, and they went through the whole thing and like the horse and all that stuff, and I was
yeah,
like, oh God, I forgot all about that.
yeah, yeah. It's not
Oh
the same heart, people. Yeah.
yeah. Oh man, it's very, very old school for sure. Be warned, but they're great. Um, so well,
I
this
know.
was
We're
really
supposed to,
fun.
yeah, what are we supposed to be talking about? I can't even
I
remember
know, right? So I think I got to most of my questions. I guess really the only thing is just for you to tell everybody how they can find you on the interwebs if they want to come talk to you.
Okay, well, I am Farrah Rochon everywhere, and I
Okay.
am unfortunately everywhere because I spend too much time on social media. But you
Oh,
can find
same,
me on
especially lately.
Twitter, Instagram is my happy place. You can find me on there. You'll probably see pictures of my dog or food, or me at Disney World when I can go. I'm on Facebook. Not allowed to be on TikTok. Decree of my niece, so you won't find me there. But the big ones, you can find me at farrahrochon.com, and I have links to all of my social media on my website. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. And this video will be airing on the final Saturday of the month, and Farrah will be doing a takeover on Romance by the Books page, so that will be super fun. And we really enjoyed this book. Thank you so much for coming on and letting it be our book of the month. We've had a great time with it.
Thank you all for choosing it. I was like so flattered. So thank
It's
you.
really been great. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.